Hey there, Walker.
How are you, Dick?
Welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, sorry about that, sir. Go right ahead.
So we're ready?
Yes, sir.
Do we have to start over?
It's up to you.
Why don't we start over again then? So welcome to this is the Board of Commissioners meeting, WWTA, August 26, 2020. Welcome everyone. We'll begin, we'll call the meeting to order and begin by calling the roll.
Jay Bell,
Here.
Alice Canella,
Here.
Darren Collins, Kenny Custer,
Here.
Doug Fisher,
Here.
Tyler Howe,
Here.
Curtis Jones,
Here.
Walker Jones,
Here?
Bill McGriff,
Here.
Gene Shipley, Boyd DeVille,
Here.
Dick G.
Here. Let me begin by saying again, or describing again the conditions that we are operating this meeting under. We in this country are presently experiencing and having to deal with the coronavirus pandemic, COVID-19, and are presently under a state of emergency as declared by the governor of the state of Tennessee. Pursuant to Executive Order Number 50, issued by Tennessee Governor Bill Lee on June 29, 2020, this board meeting of the WWTA is being conducted pursuant to the governor's directives, which allows local governmental bodies to conduct their meetings without its members being physically assembled together, to reduce exposing the general public, the members of those local governmental bodies, and the governmental staff from the possibility of contracting coronavirus. Is there any objection? With no objection, let the record reflect that this meeting is being conducted electronically and being shown to the general public by visiting www.youtube.com/signalwatch. Anyone from the public wishing to address the board will be given the opportunity to speak at the end of the meeting by calling in. I will announce the number when the line goes live. The agenda for today's meeting is posted in the description of the live stream video. Any commissioner seeking recognition to speak is asked to physically raise your hand so the chair can recognize you. At that time, you may unmute your microphone and speak, then mute your microphone when you finish speaking in order to avoid the feedback. Are there any questions? All right, let's proceed with our agenda. It's customary when we meet in person before we begin doing business to take a moment of silence, a kind of a silent invocation. I don't know how it's going to work in this format, but I would like to keep the tradition alive. So individually, let's just take a moment, prepare our minds, our bodies, and our spirit for the work that we have in front of us. So let's just stay silent for about a minute. Thank you. Thank you very much. Now let's begin. Commissioners have been provided board minutes of July 30th, 2020. Do I hear a motion for approval?
Motion for approval.
Doug, is that you? Do I hear a second?
Second.
Walker, second.
Thank you, Walker. Are there any questions or any comments? All those in favor say aye, or I'm sorry, let's hold to call the roll until we finish the agenda here, or this part of the agenda. Commissioners have also been provided committee work session minutes dated August 20th, 2020. Are there any comments or questions? Commissioners have also been given a copy of the consent calendar. Any comments or questions? Then collectively, let's vote. Then we have motion and a second for each of those items. Let's begin the roll call vote, please.
Jay Bell,
Yes.
Alice Canella,
Yes.
Kenny Custer,
Yes.
Doug Fisher,
Yes.
Tyler Howell,
Yes.
Curtis Jones,
Yes.
Walker Jones,
Yes.
Bill McGriff,
Yes.
Boyd Ville,
Yes.
Dick G.
Yes. You can see we have moved the resolutions up in the agenda. We have some commissioners who have to leave early. So let's read the resolutions and deal with those approvals now. Natasha?
Yes, sir. Resolution 0820-01, a Hamilton County Water and Wastewater Treatment Authority, WWTA Board Resolution authorizing payments of $15,000 to Smith Asset Recovery LLC, $3,000 to Ben Rachel Properties LLC, $350 to the State of Tennessee, $11,500 to Earl and Sandra Banks, and $300 to Ralph Ron McNew for permanent sanitary sewer easements for the Solid Daisy Industrial Park Pump Station Controls and Force Main Upgrade, WWTA project number 18-338.
Mike, do you have anything that you want to add to that?
No.
Okay. Here a motion for approval.
Motion for approval.
Who was that? I wasn't looking. Doug?
Bill McGriff.
Bill. Okay, thank you, Bill. A second, please.
Second.
Thank you, Doug.
Second.
All right, let's call the roll.
Jay Bell,
Yes.
Alice Canella,
Yes.
Kenny Custer,
Yes.
Doug Fisher,
Yes.
Tyler Howell,
Yes.
Curtis Jones,
Yes.
Walker Jones,
Yes.
Bill McGriff,
Yes.
Boyd Ville,
Yes.
Dick G.
Yes. Next resolution.
Resolution 0820-02, a Hamilton County Water and Wastewater Treatment Authority, WWTA Board Resolution accepting ownership of the Deleshment Road Sewer System Project number 18-334 at the contractor certified fair market cost of the sanitary sewer system of $217,000.
Do I hear a motion for approval?
So moved. Tyler.
Thank you, Tyler. Second?
A second. A second.
Thank you, thank you, Jay. Call the roll, please.
Jay Bell,
Yes.
Alice Canella,
Yes.
Kenny Custer,
Yes.
Doug Fisher,
Yes.
Tyler Howell,
Yes.
Curtis Jones,
Yes.
Walker Jones,
Yes.
Bill McGriff,
Yes.
Boyd Ville,
Yes.
Dick G.
Yes. All right.
Resolution 0820-03, a Hamilton County Water and Wastewater Treatment Authority, WWTA Board Resolution authorizing the chair and/or executive director to enter into an annual contract for legal services with Chambliss, Bonner, and Stoffel PC for legal representation for the amount not to exceed $100,000 without prior approval by the board.
Do I hear a motion for approval? Thank you, Doug. A second?
A second.
Thank you, Jay. Are there any comments or questions?
Okay, man, I appreciate it.
I heard someone, was there no comments or questions? Okay, very good. Let's call the roll, please, Natasha.
Jay Bell,
Yes.
Alice Canella,
Yes.
Kenny Custer,
Yes.
Doug Fisher,
Yes.
Tyler Howell,
Yes.
Curtis Jones,
Yes.
Walker Jones,
Yes.
Bill McGriff,
Yes.
Boyd Ville,
Yes.
Dick G.
Yes.
Resolution 0820-04, a Hamilton County Water and Wastewater Treatment Authority, WWTA Board Resolution authorizing the chair and/or executive director to renew the existing contract with ADS Environmental Services for flow monitoring and rain gauge monitoring services, WWTA project number 19-321, for a term of 2 years for an amount not to exceed $450,000 annually without prior board approval.
Is there a
Motion to
motion for
approve.
approval? Thank you, Walker. Second?
second, Alice.
Thank you, Alice. Are there any comments or questions? Okay, Natasha, call the roll, please.
Jay Bell,
Yes.
Alice Cannella,
Yes,
Kenny Custer,
Yes.
Doug Fisher,
Yes.
Tyler Howell,
Yes.
Curtis Jones,
Yes.
Walker Jones,
Yes.
Bill McGriff,
Yes.
Boyd Ville,
Yes.
Dick G.
Yes.
Resolution 0820-05, the Hamilton County Water and Wastewater Treatment Authority, WWTA Board Resolution authorizing the chair and/or executive director to enter into an agreement with Southeast Community Development District to perform labor compliance inspection services on the East Ridge Sewer Basin 3C and 4B Sewer Rehabilitation Project, WWTA project number 18-323, for a total cost not to exceed $12,000.
Motion for approval?
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Bill. A second?
Second, Walker.
Thank you, Walker. Does anyone have any comments or questions? All right, let's call the roll, please.
Jay Bell,
Yes.
Alice Cannella,
yes,
Kenny Custer,
Yes.
Doug Fisher,
Yes.
Tyler Howell,
Yes.
Curtis Jones,
Yes.
Walker Jones, Walker Jones,
Yes.
Bill McGriff,
Yes.
Boyd Ville,
Yes.
Dick G.
Yes.
Resolution 0820-06, a Hamilton County Water and Wastewater Treatment Authority, WWTA Board Resolution accepting ownership of the 8329 Hickson Pike Sewer System Project number 20-303 at the contractor certified fair market cost of the sanitary sewer system of $39,000.
Motion passed.
Doug, is that a motion?
Yes, sir.
Second.
Thank you. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Bill, thank
Second.
you. So we have a motion and a second. Are there any questions or Alice? Yes, ma'am.
just a quick question. I'd like to know where this is.
Okay, very good. Where is this thing, Mike? I know
I'm
it's at
sorry.
8329 Hickson Pike.
Oh, it is, that's just a small extension in our, I guess, the Hickson service area. It's about 3 or 4 connections.
Okay.
I didn't hear that address. Where was the address? This is Curtis.
What's the
8329
question,
Hickson.
Curtis?
I didn't hear it again. 2 people talking. What is the address?
8329 Hickson Pike.
So that's up north. Okay.
You okay with that, Curtis?
Yeah, I just wanted to know if
Okay.
it was up my way or down south or wherever, but it sounds like it's up my way.
Okay, very good. So we have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments? Let's call the roll, please.
Jay Bell,
Yes.
Alice Cannella,
Yes,
Kenny Custer,
Yes.
Doug Fisher,
Yes.
Tyler Howell,
Yes.
Curtis Jones,
Yes.
Walker Jones,
Yes.
Bill McGriff,
Yes.
Boyd Ville,
Yes.
Dick G.
Yes.
Resolution 0820-07, A Hamilton County Water and Wastewater Treatment Authority, WWTA Board Resolution authorizing the chair and/or executive director to enter into an interlocal agreement with Hamilton County for the issuance of a revenue bond in a principal amount not to exceed $17 million.
Do I hear a motion for approval?
Motion to approve, Kenny.
Thank you, Kenny. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second.
Tyler, thank you. Does anyone have any questions or comments? Mike, do you have a comment on this one, or
I have no
It is-
comments.
it's sort of self-descriptive, isn't it?
Well, it's, I think my comment is we appreciate the county's willingness to allow us to do this.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess I'll remind the board that the expected payback on this is a generous 30 years, am I right on that?
Correct.
Yeah, the terms, yeah. So that's kind of makes it even better. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Call the roll, please.
Jay Bell,
Yes.
Alice Canella,
Yes.
Kenny Custer,
Yes.
Doug Fisher,
Yes.
Tyler Howell,
Yes.
Curtis Jones,
Yes.
Walker Jones,
Yes.
Bill McGriff,
Yes.
Boyd Ville,
Yes.
Dick G.
Yes.
Resolution 0820-08. A Hamilton County Water and Wastewater Treatment Authority, WWTA Board Resolution authorizing the emergency sole source purchase of 2 KSB submersible sewage pumps for the Rogers Branch Pump Station in Ottawa from Water and Waste Equipment Incorporated for an amount of $13,369.25.
I hear a motion for approval.
So
I make a
moved.
motion to approve. I
Thank you,
second.
Jay. Who's the second?
I'll second it.
Who, no, who made the motion?
Bill McGriff.
Bill McGriff. Okay, Bill, thank you, Bill, and Jay seconded. Are there any comments or questions? All right, let's call the roll.
Jay Bell,
Yes.
Alice Canella,
Yes.
Kenny Custer,
Yes.
Doug Fisher,
Yes.
Tyler Howell,
Yes.
Curtis Jones,
Yes.
Walker Jones,
Yes.
Bill McGriff,
Yes.
Boyd Ville,
Yes.
Dick G.
Yes.
Resolution 0820-09. A Hamilton County Water and Wastewater Treatment Authority, WWTA Board Resolution authorizing the chair and/or executive director to execute documents to enter into a contract with Inland Pipe Rehabilitation LLC for the East Ridge Sewer Basin 3C and 4B Sewer Rehabilitation Project, WWTA, project number 18-323, for a cost not to exceed $6,131,529.75.
You hear a motion for approval?
Motion to approve, Kenny.
Thank you, Kenny. A second?
Second.
Thanks, Bill. For $6 million, maybe we need to have a little discussion about this, Mike?
Well, this is an important project for us in East Ridge. It's SRF funded. It's in the top basins that need rehabilitation. It will also affect our connection. We have a connection that we share with the city of Fort Oglethorpe, and this will help us with certain I&I issues in that connection as well.
When I look at the numbers of 6 million, then right below that, it says IPR submitted the lowest base bid totaling 3.4 roughly. That's a pretty large disparity. Are we going to actually spend way less than we're authorizing, you think?
No, it is a two-part bid.
Okay.
There was an alternate to the bid. So the base bid and the alternate put together is where we get the total 6.1 million from.
Okay, very good. There you
Hey, and
have it.
Mike, just real quick. So that's realistically, that's a total of what, about 16 million that's been spent in East Ridge over the last 3 to 4 years?
Pretty close.
Well, great
Yes.
work, guys. Great work.
And we're just getting started.
Exactly. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Let's call the roll, please.
J Bell,
Yes.
Alice Canella,
yes,
Kenny Custer,
Yes.
Doug Fisher,
Yes.
Tyler Howell,
Yes.
Curtis Jones,
Yes.
Walker Jones,
Yes.
Bill McGriff,
Yes.
Boyd Ville,
Yes.
Dick G.
Yes. All right, thank you all very much.
Have one more resolution, sir.
Oh, we do. What is that?
Resolution 10.
10. Yes, certainly.
Resolution 0820-10, a Hamilton County Water and Wastewater Treatment Authority, WWTA Board Resolution authorizing the chair and/or executive director to execute documents to enter into a contract with W&O Construction Company Incorporated for the upgrades of the Green Gap and Roy Lane pump stations, WWTA project numbers 16-336 and 16-337, for a total cost not to exceed $422,625.
Do you hear a motion for approval?
So moved.
Thank you, Bill. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Boyd. Random question. Does this kind of complete those projects that up there in the Boulderwa area?
This is the final project for the turnaround. Green
Okay.
Gap will be the major station there, pump seating flow down the Mountain View force main.
Okay.
Recently completed.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. Let's call the roll.
J Bell,
Yes.
Alice Canella,
yes,
Kenny Custer,
Yes.
Doug Fisher,
Yes.
Tyler Howell,
Yes.
Curtis Jones,
Yes.
Walker Jones,
Oh, yes.
Bill McGriff,
Yes.
Boyd Ville,
Yes.
Dick G.
Yes. Now we're finished with the resolutions. Thank you, Natasha. Neill, are you there? Neill is showing, Neill?
When we started Carvana, they told us that selling cars 100% online wouldn't work, but we went to work.
Hey, Neill,
Cars from home, creating a coast.
can you hear me? But I can't hear you. You're muted. You're still muted.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. It is time for a council's report. If there is a council's report, do you have something?
Yes, I do. We met Friday, Mike Patrick and myself, along with Sharon Milling from our office and Bill Stoll from Risk Management and Charlotte Parker Randolph from Risk Management in a mediation in front of Chancellor Atherton having to do with the Syriac lawsuit. We, after spending about half the day in mediation, we have agreed on a $45,000 settlement plus court costs. I will be bringing you a resolution to that effect at the next board meeting. The court costs should run about $1,000. So all told, you're talking about spending $46,000. This is where we rear-ended a lady as we were coming off of the East Ridge exit. Our vehicle did some damage to her car, and as a result, she had medical injuries. And we feel that this is a fair settlement of the lawsuit. The chancellor agreed with us, and so did the plaintiff.
Okay.
And so
Does
that will be
anybody have-
that will
I'm
be
sorry.
coming next time. Next meeting, you will have a resolution to that effect.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone have any questions? All right, is that all, Neil?
That's all.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Mike, this is time for the director's report.
Well, the best news I have today is that we are now off the Collegedale pump station as of today. And we are sending directly to the city of Chattanooga from the Lee Highway pump station as of about 3 hours ago. So that is a very important project, and I'm happy to see it at this point.
Is that all?
Well, I have other, no, I have other things.
We're going to revel in the good news. Is that what we're going to do? Not to diminish that. No, that is a significant accomplishment. A lot of work went into getting that solved.
I guess a couple of cleanup things from the committee meeting. You'll notice we didn't have a resolution for the 2011 refunding bond, but we're bringing that resolution to the board next month, in case anyone was wondering what happened to that. The other thing is the officers and directors insurance. We were unable to obtain a quote in time for this meeting. At this point, I'm told we'll have a quote by Friday. I suspect the cost will be similar to last year, which was roughly $18,000. The insurance actually expires September 19th. So between now and then, if we get that quote, I would request that I just go ahead and be able to execute that document unless anyone on the board has an objection to that.
Any comment from the board? Sounds like no. Sounds like that's okay. Very good.
You saw in the packet, we have a letter to the customers about the rate increase, as well as resuming shutoffs. If the board has no objection, we'll be sending both of those out in the coming weeks. So, not hearing any objection, we'll move on to SSOs.
Just real quick, Mike, we had talked, we know about 12% are using the percentage in the letter to address, or either a dollar, average dollar amount. And we decided, I guess, on a percentage, or that was the best route to go, rather than the average bill may go up $3 or $4. I mean,
well, I don't know how to anticipate. I mean, people's water usage is wide and varied.
Right.
So I mean, we can reword the letter to include figures such as that, but
I'm comfortable with it. I just knew we needed to possibly discuss the average water bill would be X and it would go up X. But I'm fine with the percentage.
Yeah, I don't know what to do other than the percentage, since everybody's water use is different.
Sir.
This is Curtis. Did the minimum stay the same?
The minimum went up about $3 roughly.
I was hoping that'd stay the same.
I think Bill, we can't hear you, Bill.
Can you hear me now?
Yes,
How much did you say the minimum bill went up?
roughly $3, a little bit less.
From what to what?
20, it's 24 to roughly 26. I should have that in front of me, but I don't.
Okay.
Well, just a couple of meetings ago, we talked about leaving that at the same and not raising it for the elderly and lower income.
I do recall that was part of the discussion. But ultimately what was voted on was what was proposed in the packet at the time.
I guess I didn't see that.
Am I hearing an objection, or are we just, yeah, Bill?
I said, we did talk about that, and we're gonna have to deal with that minimum bill because that's gonna be one of the ways we have in controlling the cost to the lower income people. We need to talk about that some more, but that's certainly an issue we have to deal with.
And I agree 100%. But I think we need to go ahead with implementing the increase we discussed, and then we've got to talk about how we're going to structure the rate. That's going to take a long conversation.
Well, we've already voted on this increase, I think, and we're going to have to go ahead with it. But we do need to discuss some options about how to deal with the. Just going to keep coming up over and over and over again. We need to have some kind of strategy. So we'll need to talk about that some more. Yeah.
Yes. Point well made and taken. Okay.
Must have missed that meeting. I didn't hear that. That was canceled. I guess 2 meetings back, I heard y'all talking about not changing the minimum amount to help the elderly and low income. So I must have missed that meeting. I don't know. I don't remember us talking about raising that back up.
Okay, moving on.
If we go to the SSO report. We had 0 SSOs in July. Which is a good thing. Kind of corresponds to the dry weather. We're still about 16 inches above normal for rainfall. Last I checked, we were at 50.1 inches right now, and normal rainfall for the year is 53. So that explains our overall SSO count, which at this point is 203 SSOs for the calendar year, or 290 SSOs for the fiscal year. Hence the reason for the consent decree, the reason for the need to do SSO abatement work, and unfortunately the need for rate increases. That's all I have for the director's report. If anybody has any questions.
I was going to make a comment about the tap on. Looked like they were up a little bit, but it doesn't look like it's necessarily indicating any real trends at all.
No, it was a fairly normal month for tap permits. I do need to go back and make sure we understood that we have the rate increase letter, and we're about to resume shutoffs. That letter was also in the packet. That's the letter we're about to send out. We don't have a firm date exactly from Tennessee American, but we think it's around October 1st. If anybody has any objections to sending that letter in its current form.
Do I have any, is there any comment from a board member on this letter? Okay. Are there any other items, Mike? Are you complete?
Well, I'll go ahead and go over PSLP if you like. We had 16 emergency calls last month, fairly normal. No major issues with the PSLP program.
Okay. So Taylor, are you ready to pick up there with the SLP report and education session?
Yes, sir. I'm going to share my screen here. Can you see that? Can you see my screen?
Yes, I got it.
Okay, so this is the AR report for July, and the total AR is $948,821. And the amount that is at least 1 month late right here is $279,553.
So we've seen this little peak turn downward.
Correct. And of that total AR, the current portion is $669,267.77. And I put a trend line there for your reference. I believe Tyler had requested just to see a general trend to see if our current bill was actually increasing in some sort of form with the development occurring.
Okay.
And then the collection rate for April 2020. And so this is, I was sort of waiting on this data set to come through because, my intuition was that the economic effects of the shutdowns would really start to show in April, and it has. So the collection rate for the month of April was 85%, with our cumulative at 96.5%.
Yeah. I guess if you go back to the AR report, I was looking at this one when you sent them out. It's interesting that 85 coincides with the peak of the AR report, past due.
Correct.
So and that's ahead of this by a couple of months. So we ought to see this turn back up somewhere.
Correct.
Hopefully toward the 96, but probably not.
Mm-hmm.
We'll just have to wait and see. But this number is likely to this number is likely to be a bottom here. Hopefully, is that a reasonable conclusion?
I would believe so. I think things were sort of uncertain until May. Really, a lot of major portion of the county and businesses were operating at some limited capacity through April and May, through May, and so I don't think it's unreasonable to say this could be the bottom. I don't think that we'll see it jump back up to 97%, like you said.
No, Mike. When did you say Tennessee American is going to start shutting water off again?
We don't have an exact date, but we think it's around the 1st of October.
October, okay. So all of that, we're going to have to wait several months before we know where we settle out. Okay.
Yes.
If there aren't any questions, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Taylor. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Mike, are there any other items that you want to discuss?
No, there are a few items to talk about. We can talk about them during the finance portion.
Okay. And that's where we are. We're at the treasurer's report. Bill, are you going to do that, or is Peggy going to do that?
I'm going to try.
Okay.
But with the preface that there you go. The audit may make some adjustments, but right now, for the month of July, the first month of our fiscal year, we had an operating profit of $573,479.34. As you can see, that's broken down between operations of $387,418.47 and PSLP operations of $186,060.87. So we made some money in July, which is a good thing. If there's any downside, our available cash, I don't know if you want to put up the cash. Well, yeah, well, there it was. Anyway, our available cash at the end of July dropped to about $10.5 million. And there's basically 2 or 3 reasons for that. One, there was a large payment to the city of Chattanooga for wheelage in the neighborhood of $2 million to catch up on paying the wheelage. The city bills it. They do a rolling average, and we have to do catch up on that, and we did that. The recalculation of the 3-month cash reserve increased from $4.5 million to $6.5 million based on the calculation of looking forward versus historically, if that makes any sense. So, and we spent $1.3 million in capital projects. So our cash went down about, our cash available went down about $4 million, but our overall cash only went down for the month of about $2 million. And it's important that we maintain a certain level of cash going forward, and we're gonna have and we also have the $20 million interim financing loan from First Horizon Bank, and I think Mike wants to talk about that. And we've been spending money out of our cash for capital projects. Some of it we funded through SRF funding, and about, I don't know, several $1 million, about $6 million we've spent out of our cash. So I think we should have, well, I'm recommending that we have a strategy meeting with Mike and Dick and Peggy and Lauren Lowe, our financial advisor, to basically determine the optimum cash level we should have going forward, in anticipating an initial bond rating when we issue debt of our own at some point within the next 2.5 years. So we're okay. And we're also expecting about a $1.7 million SRF refund from the state within the next couple of weeks. We'll move that cash back up almost $2 million. So although it's concerning, I think it's understandable and controllable. So that's, if you have any questions, if I can't answer them, Peggy will be glad to answer them. But that's kind of where we are. And I think we probably need to improve our cash position some. And how we do that is what I think we should have a strategy session about. So anyway, that's my report, Mr. Chairman.
So this is not unexpected.
Well, the amount is a little unexpected, but when I saw the recalculation of the 3-month cash reserve, that kind of explained a lot of it. So, you know,
okay.
It's explainable. Let's put it that way, you know?
Okay.
It's not anything that's should be a big surprise. It should be a bit of concern, but you know, something we can deal with, I think.
Okay, very good. Does anybody have any questions, comments?
Mike, I think, wants to discuss.
Yeah, I was going to ask Mike, is this where you want to jump off on your comments?
Yes. So we have approximately $6.3 million that we could apply to the bridge loan if we were to choose to do so. And that would make our total, if we were to the entire amount, the total amount on the bridge would be roughly 7.2 million. Now, the downside is we have to come up with a strategy for paying that. Anything we put on the bridge, we have to pay back in approximately 2 years, or come up with a strategy to refinance that, whatever the case may be. But my concern is our trend is downward. We're downward, we're unsure of revenue, and we're our available cash is taking a downward trend for the reasons Bill explained. But I think we should consider drawing a bridge loan just to bolster that cash. And Bill can chime in on the amount. We had discussed maybe up to the 6.2, but not the entire amount. But I mentioned to the board that I wasn't gonna draw from the line without discussing it with you all. So we're discussing it.
What exactly is the approval process? If there is a trigger or an amount, do you have access and authority to draw that debt down to supplement cash without coming to the board, or is that on a case by drawdown individually each time? Does that require a board approval?
I don't think it does require board approval. Right now, at this point, as far as I know, it is just a one-page request form that we send in to First Horizon. But I don't intend to do that without discussing it with the board.
I think Mike's, can I speak, Mr. Chairman?
Yeah, sure, Bill. Yeah.
I don't think the documents require board approval for drawdown of the cash, but I think Mike's right. The board needs to be aware and in concurrence of how much and when we are doing that, because in October of 2022, or October 2022, we have to be prepared to pay off whatever that interim financing is. And you've got two or three choices. There may be some other financing choices, but you either pay for it out of cash or you issue debt. And the reason for a plan is because we're going to have $17 million. We have like 3 years spend once from a certain date, once the county issues the debt on our behalf. And we certainly need that money, but our concentration, and it's going to be a real load on Mike to get that money spent in the 36-month period that the bond laws require it to be spent. In the meantime, we need to come up with a strategy of how we handle the 4, 5, or 6 million, whatever it is we decide to draw down of the interim financing with First Horizon Bank. So it's kind of I don't want to call it a juggling act, but we need to all be on the same page and agree on, because we'll have to do something with this loan in 2 years, basically.
Okay. Well, this just a comment. This is certainly something new in the life of the board. We've never had to deal with managing long-term debt before, so it'll be interesting to get acquainted with it and learn to control it. We look to you and Peggy to help us greatly. Are there any other? Does anybody else on the board have a comment? Okay, Mike, does that take care of what you wanted to discuss?
Well, I guess, I'm not sure what I'm hearing. Can I go ahead and draw some quantity of this 6.2 million or not? I'm curious as to the feeling of the board.
Bill, you think that he has that Mike has the authority to draw down that from the First Horizon loan without having to go to the board every time?
I think so. I think it would be good. He's notified the board that, and it might be good that he notified the board in writing that this has occurred. Mike and I talked about, we have $900,000 we have used of that $20 million 3-year interim financing deal with First Horizon. I like to deal in round numbers, but I'm thinking if we do 4 million or 5 million, we're talking about 5 or 6 million we have to deal with. This helps us immediately with our cash, and the cash position will help us when we issue our own debt. But we need to talk to our financial advisor and decide when we're going to issue our own debt. And so, yeah, Mike,
Can we take
4,
this?
5, or 6 million. Yeah.
Can we? Do you feel we can address this request for? Like, what was it, 6.2 million drawdown?
Well, I guess what I'm hearing is I guess I would request an authorization from the board to draw up to 4 million from the bridge. Now, I don't know the procedure on this. It's not a resolution. I don't know. I guess that may be a question for Neill. Is there a vote required, or I honestly don't know the procedure. And I don't know that there is one.
It never hurts.
I was going to say, in the absence of a written procedure at this point, I would like to have on the record that the board approved this action. And with the idea that we would come back and formalize this process to make sure that it's, that everybody's accountable. Does that make sense?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Yeah, Bill.
I would make a motion that we allow, or that we concur with Mike on using up to $6.2 million of our interim financing with First Horizon Bank, and an amount to be determined, and never hurts to have board approval, I suppose. I would say that he'd be allowed to draw down up to $6.2 million from First Horizon Bank on our $20 million 3-year financing loan.
Well, they anticipate at some point we're going to use all of that $20 million, right? I mean, this is just the first step.
Mr. Chairman, I don't think we will. I think, and correct me if you think I'm wrong, Mike, but we're going to have our hands full spending $17 million in capital projects. So we might need a little more of.
Bill went away. Bill, are you there?
I think Bill went on mute, Dick, but I have a question. I fully support this, but when it comes to auditing purposes and allowing an executive director to spend 6.2 million, does it get into any of procurement issues as it relates to our annual audit on the amount allotted that the executive director has the ability to spend at one time?
Good question.
I've got a comment.
Yes, Mike.
I think I would look at it, we're not necessarily spending this. We're really moving it from one source to another. Any expenditures I've got to bring to you of that magnitude anyway, I would have to bring to the board for approval.
So essentially, Mike, you're just going to move it from one line item to another?
Basically, it would be moved to our fund balance.
Okay.
And then from there, we would decide how we spend it from the fund balance.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, Boyd.
I just wanted to clarify. I thought Mike had mentioned what he was seeking authorization for was up to 4 million. Bill said 6.2. Just want to make sure which of those we need to go with and what Mike's comfort level is.
Okay, Bill, you want to?
I can clarify that. Mike and I talked, and he basically was going to do 6.2 million. And I said, I'd be more comfortable with 4 million. And I said, why don't we do up to 6.2 million? And it's just like, this is, I mean, we've followed all the purchasing rules and regulations and laws in spending the money. This is just changing it from our cash to borrowing it from First Horizon Bank on a part of that $20 million loan we've already closed, they've already agreed to. So it doesn't involve, it's for capital project money that's already been spent. It's just, we took it out of our cash funds and we're gonna put it back in to make our cash position better. And it just becomes a loan. We have to, we pay interest on a monthly basis, and Peggy or Mike, you can correct me if I'm wrong, you pay money on a monthly basis through the 3-year interim contract on the interim financing. And at that point in time, we have to either take that out with long-term debt, which means we have to issue bonds, or we have to refinance it some way. So we're going to be paying interest on this money for the next 24 months or 25 months, whatever it is. So it's just juggling dollars, and Kenny may put one line item to another, but it's kind of like getting reimbursed for an SRF loan. We've spent the money and we're just getting reimbursed for it, basically. And it turns into a loan.
Boy, and I guess to re-ask Boyd's question, what amount are we, is it 6.2 or 4?
It's between 4 and 6.2, and you can make it a firm number. I just said.
I think Boyd's a legitimate question for the board. What is the language they're going to agree to if we ask for a motion up to 6.2?
The motion was up to 6.2 to be determined within the next week or so.
Okay. And
reported back to the board what the actual amount was. That gives us some leeway in determining. I was thinking in terms of how do we refinance it or pay it back, and I was trying to juggle the 17 million we got 3 years to spend, and the SRF loans we're dealing with now, and another loan package, converting this from a short-term financing proposition to some long-term debt deal. And I just thought we needed a little more discussion to determine what the exact amount is. If you want to put a firm amount, we can. I was just, 6.2 million is basically the amount of capital projects we spent since October of 2020 that we closed the deal with First Horizon Bank. So that's where the 6.2 million comes in, that we spent our own money financing. And
so why don't we say the language is up to 6.2 million? Is that, how does that sound to the board?
That's what I'd prefer. If the board doesn't feel comfortable, we'll say it some other way.
Any comments from anyone?
I have a comment.
Yeah.
I just want the board to understand that I appreciate the situation we're in, and I want to further explain it. So we've got, with these projects, we have to juggle, for lack of a better term, fund balance expenditures, SRF expenditures, whatever the bond expenditures are. And the reality is, while we have these SRF loans, we have to pay them out, and we don't have a set time for reimbursement. Sometimes those reimbursements take a very long time to get back for whatever reason. And have this East Ridge 3 and 4 basin project, $6.1 million. Granted, it will take the better part of a year or more to ultimately pay out, but we have other projects going on as well. So I am cognizant of our situation on repaying anything on the bridge loan. I'm just concerned that I don't want our cash situation to go much less than it is right now.
Okay. I'm kind of waiting to see if anyone from the board has a comment. Anyone? So we have a motion, Bill, up to 6.2.
Yes, sir.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Kenny, is that, thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Now, any further discussion? All right, Natasha, let's call the roll on that motion, please, ma'am.
Jay Bell, Alice Cannella,
Yes.
Kenny Custer,
Yes.
Doug Fisher, Tyler Howe,
Yes.
Curtis Jones,
Yes.
Walker Jones,
Yes.
Bill McGriff,
Yes.
Boyd Bill,
Yes.
Dick G.
Yes. And I think this will become we'll become more comfortable with this, I think, as time goes on. But this will be a normal procedure, just to manage the cash versus what's in the loan packages as we as the number of projects increase. Does that make sense, Bill?
Yes, sir. We'll have to manage cash and manage debt and manage projects, and that gets to be quite a juggling act for Mike and the board. So yeah, we'll be dealing with this more and more. And as we come up with a strategy with what our cash balance should be, my concerns are getting as good a bond rating as we can get when we do our initial long-term debt issue, whatever that might be. And an important factor are that debt holders or bond holders look at is our ratios, our current ratio, our debt to equity ratio, a lot of these things that go into what kind of bond rating we get. So it's going to get more complicated as we go along. And I'll shut up. Okay.
I want to just follow up on one thing. You're going to set up then a meeting of the finance committee together with Lauren and come up with policies and procedures that govern this kind of activity.
Yes, sir. A better policy than we have now as far as cash policy and when we should when we should finance with short-term interim financing versus long-term debt. And we got so many things to look at. The SRF funding, which is traditional, we've had all along, and our funding out of our own cash, which depletes our cash and might not be good for a bond rating, and just a policy that kind of tells us what our cash position should be, as and when we should have short-term debt versus long-term debt, and like that.
I think I'm correct, but I think I'm correct, but Mike, correct me if I'm wrong. SRF is it's like a grant. We have to spend the entire money up front, and then we get reimbursed on the backside. Right. It's a little different than than borrowing from a bank. So I think that's what Bill is alluding to. We got several different processes that we're going to have to control, depending on
Yes,
who
sir.
the loan source is.
And
Okay.
yeah, and I'd like to put most of that in writing so the board understands the policy and when we should increase cash and when we should do short-term financing, when we should do long-term financing, stuff like that. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, I look forward to this discussion. Does anyone else have any comments? Does that complete the treasurer's report, Bill? Well,
Yes,
I guess,
sir.
yeah. Mike, do you have anything else you want to cover there?
I'm through.
Okay. The chair has no report. Kenny, are you still with us? Do you have anything?
I have nothing to add, Mr. Chairman.
Curtis, Lakesite, are you with us?
Yes, I'm still with you.
Okay.
I don't really have anything specifically for Lakesite, but I want to tell you, I want our director to have the money he needs to use, and I support that. But I'm disappointed at us not supporting the elderly and low income people. And 2 meetings back, we talked heavily about that, and also about making the higher users pay more. They pay about, I think it's 55% that the normal people pay. And so I'm assuming that didn't go through either. I don't understand how that went through. Maybe I just didn't understand what was going on in that meeting, but I'm real disappointed that the lower income people got looked over again. It's not right for them to be heavily taxed over the high users. And I don't know how that slipped through without me knowing it. I didn't hear anybody negate the keeping the low minimum. I didn't hear anybody negate keeping that at the same level and raising it up. So I'm assuming them and the high users don't have to pay more either. So I just want to show my discontent of that.
All right. Thank you very much. Walker, Lookout Mountain,
No report, Mr. Chairman.
Tyler, Red Bank.
Nothing to add. Thank you.
Boyd, how about you?
No,
First of
sir.
all, thanks again for letting us ride on your Zoom account. Appreciate that.
Sure. More than welcome.
Jay Bella's gone. Doug Fisher's not there. Bill McGriff, you got anything else? Alice?
No report.
All right, that concludes the business of the board. The next board meeting is September 23rd, 2020. The next finance meeting is September 17th at 2020. You'll be getting notices on those future meetings. If there's no further business, we'll be adjourned. We'll be adjourned.
Well,
Everyone, yes, Mike?
We need to see if there are any callers.
Oh, thank you. Yes, I'm sorry. The call-in number is 209-7845. And if you have a question for the board or a comment for the board, we'll welcome your call now. And we'll stay live for the next few minutes to see if there's anybody there.
Dick, if I might, while we're waiting, I'm not sure if I've had several meetings today and they start running together. I'm not sure if we touched on this, but as of right now, technically the ability to meet electronically expires the end of this month. We're being told that we can expect it to be extended at least another month. But we'll watch that, and I'll get with Natasha or whatever. But it looks like it will be, if it is extended, it'll be in small increments. So we would continue to offer to use this venue, keep you guys from having to get it for yourselves. But that's kind of up in the air right now.
All right. Thanks again. Natasha, is anyone calling?
No, sir.
Chair,
Yes.
question. We had discussed the other legal issue. Would you like to discuss that at this
Yeah.
point?
While we're waiting, sure. Why don't we do that?
So you may recall we have had a we've been involved in a lawsuit with American Heritage for a number of years. We had a discussion several meetings ago to essentially settle that case for a relatively small amount. It appears that that is going to be an acceptable way to handle this lawsuit. And we're probably going to be able to settle this for less than $15,000. And the idea would be we dismiss the lawsuit with prejudice, meaning there's no refiling of the lawsuit. I just want to inform the board that we're proceeding along the course that we had discussed previously.
But it sounds like it's resolved to the point where we hoped it might actually. And,
Yes.
and 15,000 or somewhat less than $15,000 is a reasonable settlement.
Yes.
And we're prepared to agree to that. Does anybody from the board have any comment?
I'd say settle it.
Yeah. Is that, I'm not asking for a resolution but I'm seeing shaking of heads. So
I would agree. This has
Yeah.
been going on for a long time, and I think that's a good
Yeah.
resolution.
and it finally shook down to where it is right now. So Mike, I think you're being given the authority to go ahead and give our lawyers the signal to go ahead and settle. If that's the proper language, I don't.
Yes, and I think I will need to bring the final settlement, whatever that number may be, to the board meeting.
That's great.
Yeah. But you're going to have to tell them that we're prepared to accept their proposal, or they're prepared.
Yes.
They're agreeing to, I don't know which is which, whether they're agreeing to ours or how it'll be written. But that's that'll be nice to have that one behind us also. Natasha, anyone there? Okay. I think
Mr.
we've
Chairman,
waited.
just
Yes.
one thing.
Yes, Kitty.
Boyd did bring up a valid point. Executive Order number 16 is set to expire, which is for the electronic meetings on August the 29th. But I did receive an email that is expected to be extended by the end of this week, and he normally does it on Fridays through at least September the 30th.
Okay.
So we should know sometime Friday afternoon, I would say. But Boyd was
All right.
100% correct on that.
I look forward to the time when we can meet in person again. But this works. It's effective. It's not as personal, but we don't want to do anything until we can all meet together safely. That's for sure. I'm going to assume that there's no one there, or no one will be there, and I'll go ahead and adjourn the meeting. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.